So USGBC was formed in about 1993. It's not that old. And it is member corporations. And it was an opportunity for corporations of very diverse skills to come together, whether it was manufacturers, architects, engineers, government, educators, and they're all represented within that group. So when they do get together, there's a yearly convention. There were 10,000 attendees in Atlanta this year. The seminars and the sessions were very live and active, and you get very different skill sets that are represented, very different passions, emotions, and motivations that come together as to what needs to be done and who's to do it, and who's to take the lead. This year, one of the great initiatives that they had while we were in Atlanta, there were about 100 people that just separated themselves for 3 days, putting together a program for rebuilding as a result of Katrina. And that was a great effort that they put together for the stabilization of New Orleans. There are trade missions to different countries. First was Canada. There is a lead for Canada. There is now under approval with the USGBC a lead for India. There are more platinum LEED buildings in India than there are in the United States. So you can see how some of this is more a need for these other countries because of the environments that they live in and their respect for the environment. And they have probably, I think, some 30 different programs throughout the world, some of them that compete with USGBC, but also because of its structure in the United States as a leader, USGBC has taken a foothold in many of these other parts of the world. So the structure of the LEED program, Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design, is as it's represented here. It's broken down into these categories, and where many times it's taken on as a marketing opportunity. You'll see an advertisement that do this, you get 6 LEED credits, or do this, and there's really no one single thing. And the thing that made LEED so successful was not only that we are challenged to achieve points, which I guess we're all just driven by nature to compete. It provided a means, as Brian said, of measuring your ability and your accomplishments, but it's a whole building approach, and that, I think, should draw the most respect for the program, is that you can't do one thing, you can't do one category. You have to look at the whole building, and that was what Hearst did. Now, when Hearst first considered the program, as Brian said, there weren't a lot of models around to draw from. There also weren't a lot of incentives around, and there weren't a lot of government mandates. And those are the 3 primary things that cause people to get engaged. It's either mandated by the government, there are financial incentives that promote you to do it, or you have the social drive to do it. And Hearst's motivation was strictly that initially. They had a will to do this. What came about in the evolution of the project was the realization that there were agencies that would help them with funding. Resources were achieved through NYSERDA, New York State Energy Research Development Authority, and then through the Green Building Tax Credit, which is a New York State initiative. So those programs were incentives. New York State Energy Research Development, NYSERDA, provides funding for energy efficiency measures. Those would be things such as the facade, improving the glass, improves the energy efficiency, so there was funding available for that. There's funding for variable speed drives, things that sense that you don't need that much air at that moment because the sun isn't that bright, so the fans can slow down in the building. The pumps don't have to pump as much water, and they can slow down. So when you put those types of controls on those energy-consuming devices, it reduces the energy consumption consumption of the building. So the state, in every single electric bill that you pay, takes half a cent away, and it gives it to NYSERDA to fund those types of programs, and every project, regardless of their involvement in USGBC or LEED, is eligible to participate with NYSERDA. So the categories are there. Water efficiency, I think, is self-evident. Energy, most of what you heard tonight was contributing to the calculation of the energy performance of the building. And much of what people are able to do today, again through the evolution of the Hearst project, technology changed so much. It was just phenomenal. I mean, you saw some things such as computer simulations with the computational fluid dynamics, or you saw those nodes in the steel and pictures of the steel. That's technology. That is things that are able to be done with computers today, and the combining of the skills and the knowledge of people that are creative. And you know, you're seeing it in a structure, and it's just great. You know, this group coming together, Bob, with the interiors and the designs and the products that go into the building. The technologies for low VOCs, low volatile organic compounds, that is the off-gassing issue. These are all things. Now you have people that are making, it's not only Sherwin-Williams, it's not only Benjamin Moore that now have all these product lines. You have new people in those markets that are making those products also. So it's there now and it's available, and it's projects like Hearst that were willing to do it, that motivated the industry and the market to develop these technologies. So we look at what the LEED certification means in moving from certified to gold, what it meant to the Hearst Corporation, and go to the next one. This is a matrix. This is all of the 69 points. So what we had to do was we had to sit down and review each and every one, and we had to create a path and how we were going to accomplish that. And that's what the team did together, working together as a group. Next slide. Again, pointed to high albedo paving, which is the reflectiveness of both the roof surfaces and the sidewalks. It was the lens of cement that were a lighter color, but that again alone wasn't something that afforded you a point, just like you couldn't put in a waterless urinal. The effect of the waterless urinal is how much water do you save, and if you save 20% over conventional by the combination of devices, metering the water, the stormwater management, it's a formula that looks at the whole building. That was the quality of the LEED program over just going after something and saying that it was green. Why don't we flip through these because they're hard to read. These were tracking systems, forms that were created specifically for the project that have now been standardized by the USGBC and other projects. Now the USGBC has LEED Online, and that means that all these forms that you see that were manually filled in, there's a website that each project can use where you actually can download all of the project documents onto the USGBC website, and it's a free filing cabinet and a holding place for the project to track their progress in each and every one of these credits. So it's advancements there through the USGBC that's happening. Benefits to the occupants, I think they were spoken of in part. Next one. This is one of the innovation credits because, as Brian says, Hearst, as other projects go out and they make these presentations, there'll be demonstrations in the building. They're using that lobby space for a community center. I'm sure there'll be seminars. Carol's work in promoting the whole green movement in New York City. This was an innovation credit for the Hearst Corporation to be so proactive with it. Their initiative with the subways was a driving force. Brian, why don't you explain that initiative?
See, we can get into it a little bit in the question and answer, but the original LEED designation, and Tom showed you all those charts, but until we got Tom on board, I said we really didn't know how to crack the code. They don't put it in plain English. I'm not a mechanical engineer. very difficult. But with this is an example where we went for an innovation credit because the LEED designation is primarily geared towards suburban environments. So they love grass on the roof, they love stormwater retention plants, but that's not urban America. So what I try to explain to the U.S. Green Building Council is that what is greener than helping mass transit? And the Hearst Corporation was making about $15 million worth of structural improvements through Turner Construction in the subway, the 15th largest subway in New York City. So we were changing the pathways, adding new staircases, the flow as Time Warner was coming in, as Hearst was increasing the number of people in the area. There's going to be increased traffic to this area. So we improved the handicap accessibility in the station. We changed around the staircases, and then we went back to the U.S. Green Building Council and we said, you want better urban structures to do great things, you've got to incentivize them through giving them credits towards this mass transit improvements, not towards telling them they need 500 guide racks in the basement. So they agreed to this, but not without some push and pull. So this is a multi-year project, and Tom drafted a letter to them asking for this. They denied it. We then appealed it, and I think on appeal we won the designation, and now they're writing into the language that urban projects should try to do things to improve mass transit. It's as simple as that.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Well, what's next now? Okay, in the subject. So, these are the main points of what was or is being done by the Hearst Corporation to achieve the gold certification. So the whole U.S. Green Building Council has evolved tremendously. There are multiple programs now for certification for core and shell, which is what the 7 World Trade Center was constructed under the core and shell program. It's a little bit different. It's not as intensive because it doesn't engage the interior fit-outs. They can elect to pursue Part 2, which would be commercial interiors. I'm sure that would be a function of the tenants that move into the building. There is LEED for neighborhood developments, LEED for existing buildings. There's a multitude of products now that's been produced by the USGBC, all led by the new construction program. Just to recognize someone else too that's been a tremendous asset, Paul Rice from Flack & Kirk. They're from the beginning with some of these engineering concepts. Just phenomenal group